Welcome to Slapshot Podcast, episode number 73. I'm your host, Christopher Morais. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Welcome in. We got a fresh new episode today. Lots of things to talk about. The NHL season is in full swing. We got some teams that are doing well. We got some teams that are not doing well. It's the same thing for the players. We got a lot to talk about. We're just gonna have to jump right into it. You know what I mean? We're just gonna have to jump in, kind of figure out all this stuff, what's going on. If you are brand new here, I say you got dragged in by the YouTube algorithm. Hey, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Go ahead, hit the sub button, ring the bell. Okay. Do so. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can so at FuzzyChris91. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Slapshot Podcast. If you want to listen to this because you don't want to see my face, it's on Podbean, it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those places. Click the link tree, you'll find it. All right. Also, before we get into it, massive round of applause. Here we go. Massive round of applause to all of you. Last week's show with Adam Bernard was fantastic. Lots of love for Adam. Again, I appreciate you, Adam, for being here. If you didn't watch that episode, it's fine. You can go back, watch it. But big thank you to Adam for jumping on and doing it. We solved the Pugdoku and everything. It was great. But all the love for the videos and stuff like that with Adam, I appreciate it. We'll definitely have him back soon. All right, we have some news to catch up on. Some things that happened, maybe you weren't aware of since the last time we spoke to each other. Carter Verhaeghe, Florida Panthers, signed an 8-year, $7 million per season extension. Congratulations to him. 2 goalies got locked up as well. Joey Decord, 5 years, $5 million per season with the Seattle Kraken. Linus Ullmark, remember him? 4-year deal, $8.25 million per season. So Ottawa's got their goalie. Not that it's going to matter. Ville Husso was put on waivers from the Detroit Red Wings. Okay. Alexis Lafreniere, there's a lot of talk about his next contract. We talked about last week with Adam, we talked about the Rangers and Igor Shesterkin and needing some money for future players like Lafreniere. The potential next contract, that's what Kevin Weeks' forehead is talking about. 8 years, $8 million per season. I am old enough to remember when people thought Alexis Lafreniere was a bust. And maybe it's just like some first overall picks need a little bit of time to develop. I think that's what we're watching here with Alexis Lafreniere. So good for him. I'm sure he is going to get that done before the season ends. $8 million for 8 years seems like a bargain in this economy. So we'll see how that goes. And to wrap it all up, if you didn't watch it yesterday, it might be worth it to go back and watch the tribute that the Columbus Blue Jackets did for Johnny Gaudreau. It was their home opener. They had Gaudreau's family there. They raised a rafter in his name. It was very emotional. And like if you know me personally, I'm not a very emotional person. Like I don't cry a lot for things. I did shed probably at least a tear or two yesterday. Watching that tribute. It's just all the emotion around it. I have no idea how his father Guy, his mother, how his wife Meredith does it. I don't know how they have the strength to do what they do. And I mean, Sean Monahan was there. It's only fitting that the script was for him to score in that game, and you could see that, you know, he's pointing to the rafters, obviously pointing to Johnny, his good friends. It was a lot. It was a lot, and it still stings, and it's still a reminder that drinking and driving is never the answer to anything. And the moment that they took, or they dropped the puck and they just let 13 seconds run off the clock, Columbus started without a left winger because Johnny Gaudreau was a left winger. So it was something, and it's unfortunate that he wasn't there to play that game because he should have been, and that is sad. That's all we can really say about that. So shout out to the Columbus Blue Jackets, to the Florida Panthers as well. They all showed up with purple Gatorade and Skittles, which is apparently what Johnny Gaudreau enjoyed. Purple Gatorade has to be the worst flavor out there, but I mean, man, just shout out to both organizations, the class and everything. It was probably hard to play a game like that, but they got it done, and Columbus lost, which is on par for the Blue Jackets, but I don't think that was the message from yesterday. I think it was just getting through that game and realizing that, I mean, Johnny's not gonna play hockey again. But again, it's unfortunate, and I don't know how that family continues, but they are definitely very, very strong. Now, we're going to do things a little bit different today. No puck doku today. I know. This is where most of you will probably leave because that's what you come here for. We got more pressing things to talk about today. Puck doku will be back. Don't worry. I'm riding a high right now, right? I'm riding a high. And I feel like it would be unfair to me, only me, to try to solve it by myself. I'm just not that good. But I wanted to get to some other stuff. Don't worry. I promise this will be worth it, okay? We're going to start with one thing in particular. We're going to start with the Montreal Canadiens. Of course we are, right? But we're not going to talk about Lane Hudson, okay? Because we've already done that. And, Twitter universe is talking. Lane Hudson had his first, I don't know, I guess you want to call it a rough game. He was -4 against Pittsburgh. And imagine living in a world where you evaluate a player based on the plus-minus stat. If you do that, please reevaluate your entire life, because that is a meaningless stat. It is a team stat at best. We do not evaluate players based on plus-minus. Again, Lane Hudson is a young player. There are going to be games like that, okay? And it's not his fault, all right? But we're going to talk about something else. We're going to get a little spicy here today, okay? Going to get a little spicy. We're going to talk about Montreal Canadiens goaltending. In specific, we're going to talk about Sam Montembeault and some of the respect that Sam has earned now. Now, he is off to a fantastic start to the year, I would say. Fantastic. Okay? So you're saying, Chris, he's like, it's not great. Oh, no. It's fantastic. It's elite. And now this brought up the conversation for me. Because I'm now thinking, well, wait a minute. What if Sam Montembeault could be a candidate for the Vezina Trophy? I know. Look, I know we're early in the year, okay? I know, but we might as well start talking about it now. Because if he keeps this up, he is a serious contender for it. Not just like, Habs fan talking about goalies. No, serious contender. All right? And here's how you know, okay? I'm going to pull this up here. Look at this. This is what we are going to look at, which is goals saved above expected, okay? Big thanks to the people over at moneypuck.com. Obviously, they got a whole bunch of great stats there. We're going to provide you with that, okay? Goals saved above expected is a measurement of how good, think of it as like WAR for baseball, wins above replacement. If you have no idea what that is, I can't give you a lesson on that today, okay? But in short, it's basically the saves that goalies have the goals that they've given up versus what they are expected to have given up already, okay? So we're going to keep it very simple here. We're going to start with Sam. He's played 3 games. He has given up a total of 6 goals, okay? And his expected goals against should be 12. So he has saved above expected 6.3 goals. Now, I know that doesn't seem like much. That is massive, okay? Look at the name right below him, Andrei Vasilevskiy, okay? 2-time Stanley Cup winner, okay? He's ahead of guys like Jake Ottinger, Connor Hellebuck, former Vezina Trophy, okay? Higher than Igor Shesterkin. Look at Jake Allen on that list. Shout out to Jake. Devils went out to go get Jacob Markstrom. Not that Markstrom's been bad, but Jake Allen as well. Also, fun fact, first goalie in NHL history now to beat all 33 NHL teams. He beat the Utah Hockey Club, so he has now beaten every single team in his career. Congrats to Jake. Now, I know, again, this is early. I get it. But there's a conversation to be had here because Sam Montembeault could be that guy. Look, it is no secret that the Montreal Canadiens are horrendous defensively right now. Okay? I get that they've won some games. It is through no thanks to the defense. The defense is giving up a ton of scoring chances. They are not playing well in their own zone. The Montreal Canadiens could easily be 0-4 to start the year. Easily. And they're not. Why? Because of Sam Montembeault. That's why. That's the only reason the Montreal Canadiens are not dead last right now, is because of Sam Montembeault. And this is a good showcase for him for the Four Nations Cup that's coming up this year, because Canada doesn't have a defined number one goalie. You know what I mean? Which is something that Canada's always like. It's been a privilege for so long. You know what I mean? For Canada to have just one of the best goalies on the face of the earth. There's no question that Canada has the best offense in the world, right? You have Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, and Sidney Crosby on the same team. Imagine if all three of those played center. Imagine Sidney Crosby being your third center. Okay? Now, most of these other countries got it figured out, right? The United States has it figured out. Connor Hellebuck. The Swedes, the Finns, they got options. Right? Canada doesn't. There's guys like Connor Ingram. There's guys like Jordan Binnington. And Sam Montembeault's name is there. And this could be his job. Okay? Again, look at that number. Okay? Sam Montembeault posted a shutout against Toronto. Literally stood on his head. And he did the same thing against Ottawa. A little bit more difficult against Pittsburgh, but that's fine. It's fine. It happens. You're not going to win every game. But the Montreal Canadiens defensively are not good right now. There's too many scoring chances to be given up. And Sam Montembeault, to me, is an excellent candidate to win the Vezina Trophy. He's got a lot of work to do, okay? But I think if he can drag this team to a playoff spot, that trophy is his. All these, let's throw Cam Talbot, Lucas Dostal, and Jake Allen out of the conversation. I'll let Philip Gustafson hang out for a minute. But Igor Shesterkin, Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, Andre Vasilevsky, these are every year you talk about these guys as being candidates to win the Vezina, as they should be, right? If you took any of these goalies in your fantasy hockey draft, you expect them to be elite. I don't think anybody took Sam Montembeault quite high there, right? And with the way, Caden Primo played against Boston, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Now, again, it's one start. I get it. Not going to give up on him just yet. But, if Primo doesn't figure it out, Montembeault's going to get a whole lot more starts. And if he does well in those starts, and he drags this team to where it needs to be, he is a serious contender for the Vezina. I'm not saying he wins it. I think if he drags Montreal to the playoff spot, that trophy is his. That trophy has his name on it. Okay? Now, you're asking yourself, Chris, that is ridiculous. Okay. It's not. Now, I'm going to think about this before I press. I just took it as a screenshot, okay? Let me make this bigger in case you can't see. Here, let's make this bigger. Boom. Sam Montembeault over at Bet365 is plus 8,000 to win the Vezina. So $10 would pay back $810. Now that's a home run swing if I've ever seen one, right? Now look, I didn't push the button just yet because I know there's a lot of things that got to happen. But that number could only get shorter. I would be surprised if Sam Montembeault plays well for the next week. I would expect to see that number maybe drop to 7,500. And now you're getting less money for something. But if you got an extra 10 lying around, or 5 toonies, or 10 loonies, and you're like, hey, I want to make a long shot investment here. There's a lot of ways you can burn $10. This is probably the best way to do it. I truly believe that Sam Montembeault can be in the conversation to win the Vezina. That's it. It can't be more straightforward than that. He is off to a fire start. I know it's early, but he's here. He is here, and he is good. Now he's just got to maintain the ridiculously high standard that he has set for himself. And the Montreal Canadiens should maybe help him out, do him some favors. But yes, Sam Montembeault. All right? Does everybody understand? Do we all understand what's going on? Okay, good. Next, we're going to move into something a little bit more delicate here, okay? Now, some teams are off to a good start. Calgary Flames. Anybody have the Calgary Flames being good this year? I certainly didn't. Right? The Dallas Stars are 4-0 as well. I didn't have that. Dallas, I expected to be good, but they are off to a blazing start, okay? Did anybody have the Utah Hockey Club being an absolute wagon? With Dylan Guenther just popping goals? Yeah. But there are also some teams who have let us down. I would know, because I wager money on them, and they have not paid. So I need to collect. Somebody owes me money. Specifically, the Edmonton Oilers, the Nashville Predators, and the Colorado Avalanche. All three of those teams owe me money. Okay? Remember that. Let's start. So those, if you're a fan of those teams, you know how that's going. Okay? So of those three teams, I'm going to tell you which one's going to be just fine, which one we need some time to figure out if they're going to be fine, and which team is absolutely due. Okay? Those are the only three options here. Okay? One team's going to be okay. The other team is like, meh. And the last team, we could be packing it in come mid-November. Okay? That's just what it is. Okay? Let's start with, what do I want to start with? Let's start with Edmonton. Okay? I'm going to start with the Edmonton Oilers. Okay? And the Edmonton Oilers did pick up a win yesterday in overtime. Okay. Connor McDavid got his first couple of points. That's nice. It's nice, Connor. Thanks. It's a slow start for Connor McDavid. I don't think I have to tell anybody that. And to be fair, the man sets a ridiculously high standard for himself. So when he's just like average, we're just like, what's wrong with Connor? Okay. The Edmonton Oilers here, they've played 4 games. They have scored 7 goals. Like, that's not going to cut it, right? It's not going to cut it. That's not good enough. They have given up 18 goals. You're like, well, that's the problem, Chris, right? And you're like, well, yeah, that's a fair problem, right? Here's the stem of the issue, okay? The Edmonton Oilers on the power play are 11%. I know it's early. Follow me here, okay? 11% doesn't cut it. Not for that. Not for that power play that sets records every year for their efficiency. Their penalty kill, by the way, is at 56.3%. So we have a lot of problems here with the Edmonton Oilers, okay? I said that I believe that this team is not a Stanley Cup contending team, and I have been proven that quite early on into the year, okay? I don't think they're going to compete for a Stanley Cup. I do think this is a playoff team. Okay, I think Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and the gang can drag this team to the playoffs. Okay, because you don't bet against Connor McDavid. If I've learned anything, you don't bet against Connor. And I think the Edmonton Oilers can turn it around. We saw this last year. Been there, done that. It would have been a lot simpler if we just didn't start like this. But clearly Edmonton wants to make things difficult for themselves. Defensively, they are challenged. This is not new to anybody, right? Nobody looked at that six-man defense and went, oh, yeah, this is elite. We know the depth is what it is. The goaltending, it is what it is. But I think this team can at least drag itself to a playoff spot. It's not great. Chris Nolan's going to have to figure things out here. But Connor McDavid is good enough to pull this team. He's got to get going, though. Because 11%, this team needs to score goals to win. If you're not scoring goals, you're not winning. The Edmonton Oilers don't win. They go as far as Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid can drag them. And that starts with scoring goals and being really good on the power play. That was their bread and butter last year. When you took a penalty against the Edmonton Oilers, you paid for it. You knew it was bad. You knew it was bad news. 30 plus some odd percent of the time, that puck was in the back of the net. That is not the case. Their penalty kill, you can't be giving up a goal every 2 opportunities almost. That's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's early. They can still turn it around. Again, I'm not betting against Connor McDavid. All right? So that's the team that I think can turn things around here. Okay? Let's go with a team that I don't know yet. Okay? I want to believe that they can, but I also don't know. Okay? We're going to flip over to the Winnipeg Jets. Sorry, not the Winnipeg Jets. The Nashville Predators. Okay? The Nashville Predators went out and did a whole bunch of things. They gave money to players and built this team, and everybody thought they were going to be great. Well, do I have news for you? Because they are now 0-3 to start the year. They have scored 6 goals in 3 games. It's not great. They have given up 14. Not good. They got a power play operating at 9%. It's not good, man. It's not good. You can't be going out, spending all that cash, and then be 0-3 to start the year. Now, I don't know if they can fix this. This team made the playoffs last year because they went on that insane, 14-game winning streak. Like, they just didn't lose for 2 months. All that because they got their Sphere concert canceled because they were playing like shit. So I don't know if the Nashville Predators are real or not, but I do know that they are not this bad. And here's problem number 1, okay? This man right here, UC Saros, is a problem, okay? Specifically, you can't really see it. What if I hold on? What if I just move this here a little? Oh, that's not better. I didn't think this through. I can't really move myself. Anyways, he has a 419 here. It's small. Just squint a little bit. A 419 goals against average and an 855 save percentage. He has played 2 games. I get it. Okay? I get it. It's early. But this guy he got his contract. The Nashville Predators are not bad defensively. It's not a bad defensive team. They're actually pretty good. UC Saros is not cutting it. He's not doing his job. The Nashville Predators offensively are not doing their job. You don't go out and get a whole bunch of pieces so you can score 6 goals in 3 games. That's not it. The pieces are there. But are those pieces going to be able to come together as a team and be successful? I don't know. We have seen countless times in the past. Teams bring in all these high-paid players, and it just doesn't mesh to start. It's hard. You're changing environments. You're learning new systems. You're trying to get things going. So an offense that struggles to start the year, you're like, all right, I can live with it. I can live with it. I could live with it if UC Saros was playing better, but he's not. So this is a team problem because defensively they're not that bad, but UC Saros can't stop a beach ball. So we need Saros to be better. And by we, I mean I. I want UC Saros to be better because I have pieces of him in fantasy hockey pools. So am I being greedy here? Yes. Yes, I need UC Saros to figure it out. There's a good chance he starts for Team Finland in the Four Nations Cup. But not with that kind of play, you're not. Figure it out. Okay? Figure it out. This is unacceptable, UC. Unacceptable. Same thing for you. Nashville Predators, unacceptable. Okay? So I don't know what's going to happen here. Could they be a playoff team? Maybe. Could they absolutely fall apart? Finish last in the Central? Maybe. There's a lot of things happening here. I don't know. I'm not as confident in them as I am in Edmonton figuring out, but I'm not ready to write them off completely. I don't know what I'm going to get from them. But right now, not a great start. Okay? Not good. All right. This is the last team. And this team gives me a headache. Okay? The Colorado Avalanche. Now, I said it last week. We were looking for some hot takes. I thought the Colorado Avalanche could miss the playoffs. But some of you were like, no, it's fine. It's fine. No, Chris. Oh. Well, if you had Colorado sitting dead last in the NHL after 3 games in, you may collect your prize money. I expected them to struggle. I did not expect this. This team has fallen apart. Okay? Fallen apart. Now, here's some of the problem. Okay? Colorado is, for the longest period of time, has been a really good team on home ice. That has not been the case to start the year. Okay? We knew that they lacked depth offensively, right? It's the same 5 guys who are playing, basically, right? McKinnon, Rantanen, Cale Makar. I'll throw Devon Taves in there. Then it was Valeri Nichushkin. He's not there. Gabe Landeskog, we know, is still recovering. Like, it's not Artturi Lehkonen. He plays his role. Johnny Gaudreau is not. Like, there's depth missing here. And we knew that. Now, the Avalanche have scored 10 goals in 3 games. You're like, Chris, it's not bad. And you're right. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. The problem is they've allowed 20 goals in 3 games. Okay? I don't have to do the math for you. That's over 6.5 goals per game. I can't stress this enough. But if you're giving up 6.5 goals a game, there's a good chance you're not winning any hockey games. Like, I don't have to be an analytics bro to kind of figure that out, okay? And guess who culprit number 1 is? This guy. Alexander Georgiev. Now, you can't see his goals against average and his save percentage. And to be fair, he probably doesn't want to see his goals against average and save percentage either. But I'm gonna pull that in for you here a little bit, okay? Right there. Squint again. He's got a 658 goals against average and a 787 save percentage. What? I'm not kidding. This man is probably the worst goalie to ever start a season. I can't think of a goalie that's been worse. He can't stop anything. Not a single thing. Everything is ending up in the back of his net. Colorado hasn't played well defensively. I get it. Cale Makar said he has to be better. I agree. But even if you're at your absolute worst, if you're giving up that many goals, it's kind of a problem. Georgiev is not very good, right? He made the All-Star team last year with a sub-900 save percentage. And he won a bunch of games, okay? I get it. He led the league in wins, okay? And if you've been here long enough, you follow me on Twitter, you know how I feel about Georgiev. And I've referenced him to being the modern-day Martin Jones. Remember Martin Jones when he was with the Sharks. Racked up a bunch of wins. His goals against average, save percentage, and his underlying numbers were terrible. Alexander Georgiev is the exact opposite of Sam Montembeault right now. Sam Montembeault helps his team be better. The Colorado Avalanche would probably be better if they didn't have a goalie in net. I think a 6 skater would be better than them. That's how much of a liability Georgiev is right now. And the problem is Colorado doesn't have a solution here. Even if they get players back, they got to fit them all under the cap. So that's problem number 1. Okay? Number 2, there's no goalie in the system for Colorado that can come in here and just save the day. Okay? They don't have one. So you're going to have to kind of ride out Georgiev, and that is not good. That's not good. I can't for the life of me look at the Colorado Avalanche today and think this team is a playoff team. I can't. They're going to get better, right? Because they're going to, they're somewhere in the middle here. They're not this bad. They're going to balance out at some point. But this is an absolutely brutal start. Colorado needs some depth that they can't afford, and they need a goalie that they don't have. Anything right now is better than Alexander Georgiev. Literally anything. Now, I'm not saying this is the solution for them. And I'm not saying the Montreal Canadiens even entertain it. Okay? But if I'm Kent Hughes, and I don't think Cayden Primeau is part of the future, I would definitely give Colorado a call and say, hey, I know that the Montreal Canadiens, they went through 3/4 of a season last year with 3 goalies because they didn't want Cayden Primeau to be claimed off waivers for free. Okay? And maybe Primeau figures it out and whatnot, but if Jacob Fowler is the future goalie of this franchise, which he was elite in his first game for Boston College, and you got Sam Montembeault right now who's playing the way he is, right? The Montreal Canadiens have some goalies in the system, that can back up and play enough games. I'm just saying, if Colorado wants to turn their season around after just 3 games, they probably need a goalie. Because they got away with Alexander Georgiev last season. They're not going to get away with him this year. Colorado, I'm doing this on a Wednesday, okay? Colorado is in Boston tonight. Guess who's starting? Yeah, that guy. Imagine he gets absolutely hammered again. What do you do from there? What's the course of action? You have a goalie who can't stop a beach ball. What are we doing? I have no confidence in Alexander Georgiev or the Colorado Avalanche right now. I have them missing the playoffs. And not by a little bit. By a lot. This could be a lottery team if they don't figure it out. This could be a team that are sellers at the deadline because they can't figure it out. I don't know what you do with Georgiev because he's not going anywhere. But this team needs serious help, and they got to start playing better. And I don't know if they can do that. But I do know that Alexander Georgiev is a fraud. And if you drafted him in fantasy hockey, I can't help you. I can't help you. You fell into the trap. That is your fault. That is your fault. I did a lot of mock drafts. Not once did I own Alexander Georgiev. You guys fell for the trap. You looked at the wins and you said, hey, this guy wins games. You didn't look at any other stat, which is fair. Fantasy hockey is about wins and all that kind of fun stuff. But, or you should have known that he was a fraud. So I do not feel bad for you. If you drafted Alexander Georgiev, shit. That's on you. You know what I mean? That's on you. Deal with your problems now. I don't have a problem because I stayed far away from this man. If you own him in fantasy hockey, obviously you can't drop him, right? It's too early. We don't do that. You got to start finding some. You got to start patching the hole. Because this hole is as big as the Titanic's hole. And that's what we could be looking at here. So I'm going to recap for you guys quick. Okay. The Edmonton Oilers are going to be just fine once the power play and Connor McDavid start going. The Nashville Predators are, I don't know yet, but we're going to find out in the next few weeks. The Colorado Avalanche are in serious trouble. Can't paint it any other way. So we did that. We talked about Samuel Montembeault. We got through the news. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of today's podcast. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. If you are not already following the podcast, make sure you do so on Twitter at Slapshot Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at FuzzyChris91. If you head over to Slapshot Podcast, you can click the link tree. You'll get it everywhere. You can see where it's up. It's literally a whole bunch of places. If you're watching us on the YouTube, I appreciate you. Go ahead, hit the sub button, ring the bell, follow the TikTok, the Instagram, do all the fun stuff. I appreciate all of you being here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I love you. We'll talk to each other again soon.